the nature of happiness and the pursuit of sustainable happiness. Hello, everyone. Today, we will explore one of humanity's eternal questions. What is happiness? And how can we achieve lasting happiness? This question seems simple, but it's a complex challenge that philosophers, psychologists, and ordinary people have pondered for thousands of years. Ironically, modern society provides us with more material abundance and convenience than ever before, but our happiness levels have not increased proportionally. Instead, depression, anxiety, and emptiness have become keywords representing the mental state of modern people. We often witness the emptiness hidden behind the smiles of people boasting about their perfect lives on Instagram. Whenever we hear news of seemingly happy celebrities ending their lives through drug addiction and suicide, we are prompted to reconsider the true meaning of happiness. In this lecture, we will deeply explore the essential meaning of happiness and suggest ways to pursue sustainable happiness based on scientific evidence and philosophical reasoning. And at the end, we will also examine how biblical wisdom intersects with all of this modern research. Definition of happiness and conceptual analysis. What is happiness? The answer to this question varies greatly depending on culture, era, and individual. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle defined happiness as the activity of the soul through the practice of virtue. In contrast, the utilitarian philosopher Jeremy Bentham viewed happiness as the maximization of pleasure and the minimization of pain. Modern psychology divides happiness into two main categories: hedonic happiness and psychological well-being. Hedonic happiness is based on momentary pleasure and sensory satisfaction. This includes the joy of eating delicious food, seeing beautiful scenery while traveling, or receiving a promotion or recognition. This type of happiness is immediate and intense, but characterized by its short duration. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation, or the hedonic treadmill. We tend to feel happiness when something good happens, but soon adapt to that state and return to our baseline level of happiness. Think about when you acquired the house of your dreams. At first, you feel happiness from the spacious rooms and the scent of a new home. But after a few months, it just becomes everyday life. The same applies to new cars, new clothes, and new electronic devices. They're exciting at first, but soon the effect disappears. That's how we continuously run after the next happiness, like running on a hamster wheel. On the other hand, psychological well-being refers to the satisfaction gained through inner growth, pursuit of meaningful goals, and deep relationships with others. This provides a more lasting and profound sense of happiness than simple pleasure. The happiness felt when achieving a difficult task, sincerely helping someone else, or developing one's abilities falls into this category. Psychologist Martin Seligman proposed 3 elements that constitute true happiness: the pleasant life, the engaged life, and the meaningful life. The pleasant life is closer to hedonic happiness. The engaged life involves experiences of flow through utilizing one's strengths, and the meaningful life means contributing to something greater than oneself. Interestingly, according to Seligman's research, the engaged life and the meaningful life bring more lasting happiness than the pleasant life. Ironically, we experience greater happiness when pursuing meaning and engagement rather than directly pursuing happiness. Of course, these distinctions are not absolute. The ideal life would be a state where hedonic happiness and psychological well-being coexist harmoniously. Short-term pleasures can be life's vitality, but they alone cannot provide deep satisfaction. Similarly, a life that pursues only meaning, while completely excluding pleasure, can also be considered unbalanced. In conclusion, happiness is not simply a state of pleasure, but a comprehensive state of well-being that involves fulfilling one's potential, forming meaningful relationships, and contributing to a greater purpose. This is related to a continuous attitude toward life, rather than a temporary emotion. Scientific analysis of factors determining happiness. Having defined what happiness is, let's now examine what determines happiness. According to groundbreaking research conducted by psychologist Sonia Lyubomirsky and her colleagues, human happiness is determined by three main factors. First, about 50% is determined by genetic factors. This refers to the basic personality and temperament we are born with. Some people have a naturally high happiness set point, tending to respond more positively in the same situation. In contrast, some people may be biologically more vulnerable to anxiety or depression. Isn't this quite cynical? Half of our happiness is already determined at birth. In the game of life, some people start from an advanced starting line. This shows how delusional the sweet promise of self-help books is that anyone can be happy if they work hard enough. But there is no need to be too pessimistic. Just because genetic factors are important doesn't mean our happiness is completely predetermined. Rather, it suggests that we should acknowledge that everyone's starting point may be different, and we need to find happiness strategies that work for us. Second, only about 10% is determined by external environmental factors. This includes money, fame, appearance, and health status. This fact directly conflicts with most assumptions in our society. We live believing that more money, better jobs, bigger houses, and nicer cars will make us happy. But research results show that the impact of these external conditions on happiness is more limited than we think. According to research by Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton of Princeton University, daily happiness no longer increases once annual income exceeds about $75,000. Of course, this amount may vary by region and era, but it is clear that additional wealth does not directly lead to happiness once basic needs are met. Here, too, we can find irony. Our society prioritizes GDP growth, income increase, and consumption expansion. But these things contribute surprisingly little to happiness. It's like wandering around looking for happiness with the wrong compass. Third, the remaining 40% is determined by conscious choices and habits. This is the area we can directly control. Daily choices and habits, such as cultivating gratitude, showing kindness, forming meaningful relationships, and working toward goals fall into this category. This 40% gives us hope. Although we cannot control everything, we can exert considerable influence on our own happiness. It is in this 40% that we find the reason why happiness levels can vary greatly even among people with the same genes and environment. These research findings provide important implications for our strategy in pursuing happiness. We often invest too much time and energy in changing external conditions. We believe that getting a better job, moving to a bigger house, and buying more expensive things are shortcuts to happiness. But this approach focuses on factors that contribute only 10% to happiness. Instead, we should pay more attention to the 40% area, our thoughts, attitudes, habits, and behaviors. This is the most effective strategy for achieving sustainable happiness. Of course, this doesn't mean that material conditions are not important at all. It is difficult to discuss happiness when basic needs are not met. Extreme poverty, unstable housing, and chronic illness are clearly factors that impede happiness. But once basic safety and stability are secured, material abundance beyond that does not have a significant impact on happiness. Scientific methodology for sustainable happiness. Now let's look at specific methods to enhance happiness in the 40% area we can control. These methods are not merely advice from self-help books, but strategies verified through rigorous scientific research. 1. Cultivating the habit of gratitude. According to research by Robert Emmons, a pioneer in positive psychology, People who regularly keep a gratitude journal experienced a 25% increase in happiness compared to those who don't, exercised more, and had fewer hospital visits. The effect of gratitude goes beyond simple positive thinking. Gratitude restructures our brain to pay more attention to positive aspects. Instead of focusing on what is lacking, what is wrong, or what we want, we focus on what we already have, what is going well, and what we can be thankful for. What's interesting here is that the habit of being thankful for small things is effective, even when there are no major things to be grateful for. Focusing on the small blessings of everyday life, such as clear weather, a warm cup of coffee, a friend's smile, or having time to read a book, increases happiness. Based on these research findings, I suggest the following practice. Every evening, write down 3 things you are grateful for in specific detail. It is more effective to be specific, like the delicious breakfast my wife prepared this morning, rather than simply writing family. If you maintain this habit for about 3 weeks, you will naturally begin to discover things to be grateful for in your daily life. However, a cynical perspective is needed here too. A gratitude journal should not become a means of escapism. When real problems and injustices exist, an attitude of, I should still be grateful, while ignoring them, can be harmful. Gratitude should be balanced with awareness of reality. Second, setting meaningful goals. A happy life is closely related to a sense of purpose. According to psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's flow theory, we experience the deepest satisfaction when we invest our abilities in appropriately challenging tasks. What's important here is the nature of the goal. Not all goals bring equal happiness. According to research by psychologist Tim Kasser, people experience greater happiness when pursuing intrinsic goals such as growth, relationships, and community contribution, rather than extrinsic goals like money, fame, and appearance. For example, the goal of achieving financial stability through work I truly value brings more lasting happiness than the goal of becoming a millionaire. The goal of sharing my experiences and knowledge to help others is more meaningful than gathering 100,000 followers on Instagram. Of course, this doesn't mean that pursuing material success or recognition is wrong. The problem is viewing these external achievements as the final destination. External achievements can have true meaning when they become a means to a greater purpose, such as self-realization or contribution to others. Here too we can find social irony. Our society is fixated on external indicators of success, such as wealth, status, and fame. Schools encourage competition for good universities, and workplaces promote competition for promotions and salary increases. But research has shown that these external achievements alone cannot bring deep happiness and satisfaction. To set meaningful goals, it's important to clarify your values. What is truly important to me? When do I feel most energetic and alive? What contribution do I want to make to the world? The process of finding answers to these questions is the process of discovering meaningful goals. 3. Valuing relationships. One of the most consistent findings in happiness research is the importance of human relationships. Harvard University's happiness study is the world's longest longitudinal study, continuing for over 75 years. Robert Waldinger, the current director of this study, says, "The clearest message from this 75-year study is that good relationships make us happier and healthier." Interestingly, the quality of relationships is more important than the quantity. A few deep and meaningful relationships have a greater impact on happiness than hundreds of friends on social media. According to research at the University of Illinois, people's happiness increases significantly when they engage in meaningful conversations, but casual small talk has little effect on happiness. Here too, we find a contradiction in modern society. We live in a world that is more connected than ever before, but at the same time, loneliness and alienation are spreading like an epidemic. We are connected to hundreds or thousands of people through social media, but deep conversations and genuine bonds are actually diminishing. Valuing relationships requires conscious effort. It's important to secure family meal times, have deep conversations with friends, and participate in community activities despite busy daily routines. Having digital detox time, where we put down digital devices and fully focus on the other person, is particularly effective. Human relationships are not simply an element of happiness, but an essential component. We form our identity, discover meaning, and experience belonging through relationships. Therefore, investing in relationships is like directly investing in happiness. 4. Enjoying the present. Our minds are often preoccupied with regrets about the past or worries about the future. According to research by Matt Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert of Harvard University, people spend about 47% of their waking hours thinking about things unrelated to what they are currently doing, and this mind-wandering showed a strong correlation with unhappiness. Mindfulness is a solution to this problem, a technique of paying full attention to the present moment. Decades of research have shown that mindfulness meditation has various effects, including stress reduction, anxiety relief, depression prevention, and immune function enhancement. On a practical level, it's good to set aside 10 to 15 minutes a day for meditation. You can start with simple meditation such as focusing on your breath, observing bodily sensations, or listening to surrounding sounds. You can also practice focusing consciously on the present when performing daily activities such as walking, eating, or showering. Many people misunderstand meditation as a religious or mystical act, but modern science has neurologically and physiologically validated the effects of meditation. Regular meditation brings positive changes to the structure and function of the brain, lowers levels of the stress hormone cortisol, and strengthens the immune system. Here too, we find the irony of modern society. We have more time-saving technology than ever before, but we live lives chased by time. We always try to do things faster and more efficiently, but our ability to fully experience and enjoy the present moment is weakening. The essence of meditation is not simply emptying the mind, but fully staying in the present. This allows us to experience all moments of life more deeply and fully. Happiness is closely related to the ability to fully experience the present moment, not just in achieving future goals or having good memories of the past. 5. Maintaining a healthy body and mind. Mind and body are closely connected. Physical health directly affects mental well-being, and vice versa. Regular exercise is not just for weight management or strength building, but is an essential element for happiness. Exercise acts as a powerful antidepressant. Neurotransmitters like endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine, which are secreted during exercise, improve mood and reduce stress. According to research at Duke University, moderate aerobic exercise is as effective in reducing symptoms of depression as antidepressants. Even more interesting is that the effect of exercise persists in the long term. According to research at Harvard Medical School, regular exercise can reduce the risk of depression recurrence by up to 50%. This is more effective than most drug treatments. But to present a cynical perspective here, our society tends to emphasize exercise primarily for cosmetic and aesthetic purposes. Exercise for a perfect body can actually lower self-esteem and increase anxiety. Exercise for true happiness should focus on health, vitality, and enjoyment rather than appearance. A balanced diet also has an important impact on happiness. The brain accounts for only about 2% of body weight, but consumes 20 to 25% of energy. Therefore, proper nutrition is essential to optimize brain function, particularly omega-3, antioxidants, B vitamins, and magnesium play important roles in brain health and mood regulation. Research shows that a Mediterranean diet rich in olive oil, fish, nuts, fruits, and vegetables can reduce the risk of depression by up to 30%. Finally, sufficient sleep is an essential element for happiness. Sleep deprivation causes various problems, including mood disorders, cognitive dysfunction, and weakened immune function. According to research at Berkeley University, sleep deprivation increases anxiety and negative emotions, while decreasing positive emotions. Modern society tends to view sleep as wasted time. A culture that sees sleep as an obstacle to productivity prevails, as in the saying, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." But this is a serious misunderstanding. Sufficient sleep is essential for optimizing our functioning in various aspects, including creativity, problem-solving ability, and emotional regulation. Practical methods for maintaining a healthy body and mind include: first, moderate exercise 3 to 5 times a week for at least 30 minutes. Second, a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and healthy fats. Third, 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep. Fourth, regular rest and stress management. Fifth, limiting excessive consumption of alcohol, caffeine, and sugar. These habits may seem cumbersome and difficult in the short term, but in the long term, they are a great investment in happiness and well-being. Chapter 4. Comprehensive approach to practicing happiness. So far, we have examined the definition of happiness, the factors that determine happiness, and specific methods to enhance happiness. Now, I would like to present an approach that integrates all of this for practical application in daily life. 1. Understanding the paradox of happiness. One of the biggest paradoxes in pursuing happiness is that the more directly you pursue happiness, the further away from happiness you may get. Psychologist Iria Broninsky calls this the paradox of happiness. For example, if you fixate on the thought, "I must become happy," you will pay more attention to the gap between your current state and your ideal state, potentially increasing your sense of unhappiness. Also, excessively monitoring your emotional state can interfere with the natural flow of emotions. The way to resolve this paradox is to focus on the activities and processes that bring happiness, rather than happiness itself. Happiness will naturally follow as a byproduct when you focus on immersing yourself in meaningful work, developing good relationships, and utilizing your strengths. It seems appropriate to quote philosopher John Stuart Mill here. Happiness enters through the side door. Those who directly pursue it never find it. 2. Developing personalized happiness strategies. Happiness is a very personal experience. There is no happiness formula that applies equally to everyone. The optimal strategy for happiness may differ according to each person's personality, values, environment, and goals. For example, extroverted people gain energy through social interactions, while introverted people may recharge through alone time. Achievement-oriented people may feel happiness through goal attainment, while relationship-oriented people may experience happiness through deep bonds. Self-reflection and experimentation are necessary to discover your unique happiness equation. Experience various activities, environments, and relationships, and observe what brings you true happiness and satisfaction. And based on this, develop your own happiness strategy. One practical method here is to keep a happiness journal. Daily or weekly, record when you felt happiest and most energetic, which activities were most satisfying, and in what situations you felt unhappy. patterns will emerge over time, allowing you to better understand your happiness equation. 3. Improving the social environment. There are limits to individual effort alone. Because we are social beings, we are greatly influenced by our surrounding environment and culture. Therefore, improving the social environment is also important for sustainable happiness. Start with the closest environment. Improve relationships with family, friends, and colleagues, and create a culture of mutual support and encouragement. It may be necessary to boldly organize or distance yourself from toxic relationships that don't align with your values. Furthermore, take an interest in the local community and broader society. Volunteering, participating in local activities, and efforts to solve social problems can contribute not only to your own happiness, but also to the happiness of others. This is also a way to practice contributing to something greater than oneself, a key element of a meaningful life. To present a cynical perspective here too, modern society tends to excessively individualize personal happiness. The self-help philosophy of "your happiness is your responsibility" is prevalent, but this approach overlooks the social and structural factors that affect happiness. True happiness is possible when individual efforts and social environment improvement are balanced. 4. Accepting life's uncertainty and change. Another misconception about happiness is the concept of happiness as a perfect state. Many people think of happiness as an ideal state where all problems and suffering disappear, but this is an unrealistic expectation. Life is inherently uncertain and ever-changing. No matter how happy a life you live, failure, loss, illness, and aging are unavoidable realities. Therefore, true happiness lies in the ability to accept this uncertainty and change, and to find meaning and value within it. One of the core teachings of Buddhism, impermanence, states that accepting the fact that everything changes and disappears is the way out of suffering. In Western philosophy, Stoic philosophers taught that focusing on one's attitude and response, rather than the external environment that cannot be controlled, is the key to happiness. On a practical level, this means accepting failure and frustration as opportunities for growth, perceiving uncertainty as an interesting aspect of life, and abandoning perfectionist expectations. It also means being grateful for what you currently have, while acknowledging that it can change at any time. Happiness is not the absence of pain, but the ability to find meaning and value, even in the midst of pain. To borrow Viktor Frankl's words, human beings are not determined by circumstances, but have the freedom to decide what attitude to take towards circumstances. Chapter 5. The nature of happiness from a biblical perspective. So far, we have examined the nature of happiness and how to pursue it based on modern psychology and scientific research. Interestingly, the teachings of the Bible, recorded thousands of years ago, show remarkable alignment with these modern discoveries. 1. The importance of gratitude and joy. The Bible repeatedly emphasizes the importance of gratitude and joy. In 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18, it says, "Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." The power of gratitude, discovered by modern psychology, has already been taught as an important spiritual principle in the Bible. Gratitude is not just a courtesy, but a powerful tool that changes our perspective and heals our hearts. The psalmist sang in Psalm 107, verse 1, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever." This shows that gratitude is not something that comes only in good situations, but an attitude of recognizing God's goodness in all situations. 2. Pursuing values beyond materialism. Just as modern research has discovered a weak correlation between material prosperity and happiness, the Bible also warns of the limitations of materialism. Jesus taught in Luke 12:15, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." The author of Ecclesiastes states in Ecclesiastes 1:2 that he pursued wealth and honor, but ultimately concluded that meaningless, utterly meaningless, everything is meaningless. He concluded that the true meaning of life lies not in material achievement, but in fearing God and keeping his commandments. In 1 Timothy 6:6-8, it says, "But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that." This aligns with the adaptation level theory discovered by modern psychology. 3. The importance of relationships. Just as modern research emphasizes the importance of human relationships, the Bible also emphasizes the value of community and relationships. From Genesis, God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone," in Genesis 2:18. Jesus identified the two greatest commandments as love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself in Matthew 22:37-39. This shows that both the vertical relationship with God and the horizontal relationship with neighbors are essential for a happy and meaningful life. In 1 Corinthians 13:1, emphasizing the importance of love, it says, "If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal." This means that all achievements and talents are empty without the relational value of love. 4. The pursuit of meaning and purpose. Just as modern psychology emphasizes the importance of meaningful goals, the Bible also emphasizes the greater purpose and meaning of our lives. Micah 6:8 says, "He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This shows that our lives are not a series of random events, but within God's plan and purpose. The Apostle Paul says in Romans 8:28, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." This shows the belief that even difficulties and hardships can work for a greater purpose and meaning. 5. Focusing on the present. Just as modern psychology emphasizes mindfulness and the importance of the present moment, the Bible also teaches the wisdom of focusing on the present. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus taught in Matthew 6:34, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." Furthermore, Jesus encourages us to look at the lilies of the field and the birds of the air, teaching us to trust in God's care and focus on the present. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." This is a concept similar to modern mindfulness, emphasizing the importance of stopping and experiencing God's presence in the present moment. Conclusion: integrated approach to happiness. So far, we have examined the nature of happiness and how to pursue sustainable happiness through modern psychology and biblical perspectives. Interestingly, these two perspectives align in many ways. Happiness is not just an emotional state, but a way of life where meaning, purpose, relationships, growth, and gratitude harmoniously coexist. Happiness does not come from outside, but stems from our thoughts, attitudes, and choices. The Bible says in Proverbs 19:8, "The one who gets wisdom loves life. The one who cherishes understanding will soon prosper." This shows that happiness is related to a wise way of life rather than a simple emotion. For sustainable happiness, an integrated approach like the following is needed. First, cultivate a grateful heart. Develop the habit of being thankful for God's blessings and life's gifts every day. Second, pursue meaningful goals. Discover and develop your unique talents and passions within God's will and plan. Third, invest in relationships. Value and develop your relationship with God, family, friends, and community. Fourth, focus on the present. Experience God's presence in the present moment, not past regrets or future worries. Fifth, care for body and mind. Since our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, care for your body and mind through healthy lifestyle habits. Psalm 37:4 says, "Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." This shows that true happiness comes from pleasing God. Above all, the Bible shows us a perfect model of happiness through Jesus Christ. Jesus lived a fulfilling life, not through material prosperity or worldly success, but through a deep relationship with God the Father, genuine fellowship with his disciples, and dedication to his mission. Ultimately, the answer to all questions about happiness is in the Bible. It is not surprising that many principles recently discovered by modern psychology were already recorded in the Bible thousands of years ago. Because God is our Creator, He knows best how we can be happiest and most fulfilled. I hope that what you've learned today about the nature of happiness and how to pursue sustainable happiness will not just remain as knowledge, but lead to actual life changes. Happiness is not a destination, but a journey. And on that journey, we discover God's love and wisdom. Thank you sincerely for listening to the end. I hope this audiobook has been of some help in your life. If you want more content on spiritual topics and life wisdom, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I will see you again in the next topic. I pray that God's peace and joy abound in your life.